You're not losing your mind. That's the first thing I need you to know. Because right now you might be wondering if something's fundamentally broken inside you. One minute you're fine. The next minute you're sweating through your clothes. Your heart's racing like you just ran a marathon, but you've been sitting still. Your body feels like it's betraying you, like it's become someone else's body. Someone angrier, someone more tired, someone you don't recognize, and everyone's telling you different things. Your doctor says it's hormones. Your mother says you just need to tough it out. Your friend swears by some supplement. Social media is selling you solutions that costs more than your rent. But nobody's really telling you the truth. Nobody's telling you what's actually happening underneath the hot flashes and the sleepless nights and the weight that won't budge, no matter what you do. I'm going to tell you 5 things today that nobody talks about. Not because doctors don't know them, but because the conversation around menopause has been so focused on what's wrong that we've forgotten to talk about what's actually true. And the truth? It might change everything you believe about what's happening to your body right now. Stay with me. Here's the narrative we've been sold. Menopause is when your body stops making estrogen. And when estrogen drops, everything falls apart. So we need to replace it, fix it, restore it to what it was. And that story has some truth in it. Your estrogen does drop. That's real. But the story we've been told is incomplete. And that incompleteness is costing women their peace. Because the way menopause is framed in our culture, it sounds like a disease, like something broken that needs fixing. And if you're broken, well, that explains a lot, doesn't it? That explains why you don't recognize yourself, why your body feels foreign, why everything feels harder. But what if I told you that's not actually what's happening? What if menopause isn't a deficiency? What if it's a transition? There's a profound difference between those two things. A deficiency means something's missing, something's wrong. You need to get it back. A transition means you're moving from one state to another. It's uncomfortable sometimes. It's disorienting, but it's not broken. Your body isn't failing you in menopause. Your body is changing you, and that change, while it's intense and sometimes overwhelming, is actually intelligent. Let me explain what I mean. For 40 years or so, your body has been organized around fertility. That's been the organizing principle. Your hormones, your energy, your metabolism, your mood, your sleep. All of it has been orchestrated around the possibility of creating and sustaining life. That's been the job. That's been what your body was built to do. And then, around 50, something shifts. Your ovaries gradually stop producing eggs. Your estrogen drops. Your progesterone drops. Your body is saying, that job is done. Now, culturally, we've decided that this is a tragedy, that fertility is a woman's primary value, that once you're no longer fertile, you're somehow less. But biologically, your body is saying something different. Your body is saying, you're done with that chapter. Now we can do something else. I remember when I hit menopause, my doctor gave me a prescription for hormone replacement therapy without even asking me what I wanted. She just assumed I'd want to keep my body the way it was, keep the hormones up, keep everything the same. And I took it for a while. But eventually, I stopped because I started noticing something. All the feelings I'd been attributing to menopause, some of them weren't symptoms of a deficiency. They were symptoms of transformation. The hot flashes, yes. The insomnia, yes, those are real. But the clarity I started to feel, the way I stopped caring about things that didn't matter, the way my priorities completely reorganized, that wasn't a symptom, that was a signal. My body was transitioning, and the transition was trying to tell me something. It was saying, you have permission to change now. You have permission to let go of roles that don't fit anymore. You have permission to become something new. And once I reframed menopause, from deficiency to transition, everything changed. The symptoms were still uncomfortable. Don't misunderstand me. Hot flashes still suck. Sleep deprivation is still brutal. Weight gain when you're not eating more is still frustrating. But I stopped seeing them as evidence that something was wrong with me. I started seeing them as labor pains, as the discomfort that comes with birthing a new version of yourself. And there's a huge difference between suffering because you think you're broken and discomfort because you're changing. One leads to despair, the other leads to patience with yourself. One makes you fight your body, the other makes you listen to it. Here's what I want you to understand. Menopause isn't your body failing you. It's your body finishing one job and preparing for another. For the first part of your life, your body was designed to be fertile, to cycle, to create. For the second part of your life, your body is designed for something else. And yes, that transition is uncomfortable. Transitions always are. But discomfort isn't the same as disease. And reframing menopause as a transition instead of a deficiency changes. One of the most terrifying things about menopause is what happens to your mind. The brain fog, the forgetfulness, the way you'll walk into a room and have absolutely no idea why. You'll be mid-sentence and lose the word you were looking for. You'll forget appointments you've had on your calendar for weeks. And the fear that sets in, it's profound. Because you've heard about dementia. You've heard about Alzheimer's. You know that cognitive decline can happen as you age. So you start wondering, is this it? Is this the beginning? Am I losing my mind? And I'm going to tell you something that might sound strange. You're not losing your mind. Your mind is reorganizing. There's a significant difference when your estrogen and progesterone drop. Your brain doesn't stop working. It recalibrates. And recalibration feels like braking when you're in the middle of it. Here's what's actually happening at a neurological level. Estrogen is involved in neurotransmitter production. It affects dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, all the chemicals that help you think clearly, remember things, regulate mood. When estrogen is high and stable, your brain has consistent access to those chemicals. Your cognition is sharp, your memory is reliable, but during the transition to menopause, your estrogen is fluctuating wildly. One day it's high, the next day it crashes. Your brain is constantly trying to adjust to those fluctuations. It's like trying to drive a car where the fuel pump keeps surging and cutting out. The car still works, but it's jerky, unpredictable, not smooth. That's what brain fog is. That's what the forgetfulness is. It's not permanent damage, it's temporary recalibration. And here's the part that's actually miraculous, though nobody talks about it. When that recalibration is complete, When your hormones stabilize at their new baseline, your brain doesn't just go back to how it was, it reorganizes. In some ways, it becomes better. Research is showing us that post-menopausal women often experience improved cognitive function in certain areas, better analytical thinking, better ability to focus on complex problems, better memory for things that matter to you. It's like your brain is being rewritten to prioritize differently. Instead of processing everything equally, it starts to filter, to focus on what's important to you. And that filtering can actually feel like clarity. I experienced this myself, and I didn't understand it at the time. During perimenopause, I was a mess cognitively. I'd lose words constantly. I'd start a task and forget what I was doing halfway through. I was convinced I was developing early onset cognitive decline. But I hung on. I didn't panic. And slowly, over the course of a couple years, something shifted. The brain fog lifted. Completely. But what emerged on the other side wasn't just my old brain back to normal. It was different. Clearer in some ways, but also more selective. I found I could focus intensely on things I cared about, but small talk, random details, things that didn't matter, they just evaporated from my mind. And at first I thought that was a problem. I thought I was becoming forgetful, but then I realized, no, I'm just not storing useless information anymore. My brain has decided we don't need to remember that. We need to remember what matters. It was like my brain had been decluttered. I know a woman named Susan who went through a similar experience. She was a lawyer, high-powered, someone who prided herself on remembering every detail of every case. During menopause, she couldn't do that anymore. Her brain just stopped retaining all that information. She was terrified she'd have to leave her profession. But what actually happened was that she started delegating more. She started trusting her team. She started focusing on the big picture strategy instead of drowning in details. And she became a better lawyer. Her boss actually told her that her work had improved. She was more strategic, more focused, less caught up in minutia. She wasn't losing her mind. She was upgrading her mind. The brain fog of menopause is real. The forgetfulness. The brain fog of menopause is real. The forgetfulness is real. But it's not permanent. And it's not damage. It's recalibration. And understanding that changes everything about how you experience it. Because instead of being terrified that something's wrong, you can be patient with yourself while your brain reorganizes. You can write things down. You can use reminders. You can build systems that support you during this transition. And you know it's temporary. You know that on the other side, you'll emerge with a brain that's been reorganized around what actually matters to you. Now, there's something else that happens to your brain during menopause that nobody talks about. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for impulse control and social niceties, actually becomes more active, which means you become less willing to tolerate things you've been tolerating. You become less interested in people-pleasing. You become more direct. You start saying no to things that don't serve you. And culturally, we've labeled this as menopause rage or menopause mood swings. But it's not really that. It's clarity. It's your brain finally saying, I'm done with this. I'm done with the job that doesn't fulfill me. I'm done with the friend who drains me. I'm done with pretending to be okay when I'm not. That clarity feels like anger because you've been suppressing it for so long. But underneath the anger is honesty. And honesty, while it can feel sharp and harsh, is actually a gift. Because it's your brain insisting that you pay attention to what matters, that you stop wasting energy on what doesn't. So the second truth nobody tells you about menopause is this: your brain isn't breaking, it's upgrading. The fog is temporary. The forgetfulness is recalibration. The mood swings are clarity trying to get your attention. And when you understand that, when you stop fighting the reorganization and start working with it, you emerge on the other side with a brain that's actually more capable, not less, more focused, more selective, more honest, more powerful. You're not losing your mind in menopause. You're finally finding it. Let's talk about the thing that makes women feel most alienated from their bodies during menopause: the weight gain. You're eating the same. Maybe you're eating better. You're exercising. Maybe you're exercising more than you ever have. And your body is getting bigger. Your metabolism has slowed. Your body composition is changing. Fat is redistributing. Muscle is harder to maintain. And it feels like betrayal, like your body has decided to punish you, like it's turning against you. You look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself. And the culture isn't helping. The culture is telling you that your body at this size is less valuable, less attractive, less worthy. So you fight it, you restrict, you exercise harder, you try every diet, and nothing works the way it used to, because your body isn't the same body it was at 35, and it never will be again. But here's what nobody tells you: your body isn't betraying you. Your body is trying to keep you alive. During perimenopause and menopause, your metabolism changes because your hormonal environment has changed. Your body needs different things now. It needs more strength training to maintain muscle mass because estrogen helps preserve muscle and you have less of it. It needs more recovery time because your nervous system is more sensitive and more easily stressed. It needs more nutrient-dense food because your body can't extract nutrients as efficiently as it used to. It needs better sleep because that's when your body repairs itself. And menopausal sleep is harder to come by. Your body isn't punishing you with weight gain. Your body is trying to tell you it needs different support. But instead of listening to what your body's asking for, we interpret it as failure. We think there's something wrong with us. We think we're not disciplined enough. We think we're lazy or weak. And we get angry at our bodies. We wage war against them. And a body you're at war with, it becomes your enemy. I spent years fighting my menopausal body. I did intense cardio, I restricted calories, I tried every supplement. I was convinced that if I just pushed hard enough, I could keep my body the way it was. And I was exhausted, chronically exhausted. My sleep got worse, my mood got worse, my digestion got worse, everything got worse. Until I finally stopped fighting and started listening. I asked my body, what do you actually need? And the answer wasn't what I expected. And it wasn't less food or more exercise. It was more rest, more strength, better food, more patience. So I changed my approach. I shifted from cardio to strength training, not to burn calories, but to maintain muscle mass as estrogen dropped. I stopped restricting and started eating more nutrient-dense food, more protein, more healthy fats, more vegetables. I prioritized sleep over exercise. Some days, my body needed rest more than it needed a workout. and I stopped weighing myself because the scale was telling me a story about my body that wasn't true. The story was, you're failing, but my body was actually thriving. My strength was increasing, my energy was stabilizing, my mood was better, my body was getting bigger, yes, but it was also getting stronger, getting healthier, getting wiser. Within 6 months of working with my body instead of against it, something shifted. I wasn't smaller, but I felt different in my body. I felt at home in it again. And that changed everything, because when you're at home in your body, when you're not in a constant battle with it, you have energy for the rest of your life. I know a woman, Margaret, who had a similar experience. She spent her 50s trying to maintain a size 6. Her natural menopausal size was an 8 or a 10. She was fighting her biology constantly, and she was miserable. She was hungry. She was tired. She was resentful of her body. But she looked the way she thought she should look. So she kept fighting until she had a moment of clarity. She realized she was spending her healthiest years of her life at war with her own body. For what? For fitting into clothes that didn't fit her anymore, so she bought new clothes. She stopped weighing herself. She started eating when she was hungry and stopping when she was full. She started moving her body because it felt good, not because she was trying to earn the right to exist in it. And something remarkable happened. Her body stabilized, not at a size 6, at a size that was healthy for her menopausal body. More importantly, she stopped hating herself. She looked in the mirror and saw a woman who was strong, who had survived, whose body was wise, and that changed her relationship with aging entirely. Here's the truth that the diet industry doesn't want you to know. Your body at 50, at 60, at 70 is supposed to look different than your body at 30. Your bones are denser, your muscle distribution is different, your fat distribution is different. That's not failure, that's maturity. And a body that's gone through decades of living, that's carried children, or not, that's worked and played and healed and endured. That body is beautiful in a way a young body can never be, because it has a story. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore your health. Health matters, but health and size are not the same thing. You can be healthy at a size 10. You can be healthy at a size 14. You can also be unhealthy at a size 6 if you got there by starving yourself. So the question isn't, how do I get back to my old size? The question is, what does health actually look like for my body right now? And that answer is different for every woman. For some women, it's strength training and adequate protein and sleeping 8 hours. For some women, it's walking and eating intuitively and managing stress. For some women, it's a combination of things that has nothing to do with the number on the scale. The scale is a measurement. It's not a judgment. But we've been trained to treat it like a judgment. So here's what I want you to do. Stop fighting your body. Ask it what it needs. And then listen. Listen to whether it needs more movement or more rest. Listen to whether it needs more food or different food. Listen to whether it needs strength or flexibility or just gentleness. Your body knows. Your body has always known. You've just been too busy fighting it to listen. And the moment you stop fighting and start listening, your body becomes your ally again. It becomes your home. The third truth nobody tells you about menopause is this. Your body isn't betraying you. It's communicating. And the communication might be uncomfortable. It might require you to change. It might require you to let go of who you thought you were supposed to be. But it's not punishment, it's love. Your body loves you enough to force you to pay attention. Your body loves you enough to demand that you treat it with respect. Your body loves you enough to insist that you stop waging war against it and start building peace with it. And that peace, that's where real transformation happens. This is the truth that almost nobody talks about. And I'm going to talk about it because it matters. Because it's part of your wholeness as a woman. Your sexuality is changing in menopause, not disappearing, changing. And that change can feel like a loss if you don't understand what's actually happening. Your libido might drop. Your body might respond differently to touch. Vaginal dryness might make intercourse uncomfortable. Your body might take longer to become aroused. And if you're measuring your sexuality by the standards of a 35-year-old body, it looks like you're losing something. But you're not losing sexuality. You're graduating from one kind to another. Let me explain what I mean. When you're younger, your sexuality is often tied to fertility. Your body is designed to respond, to become aroused quickly, to be receptive. That sexuality served a biological purpose, and it was beautiful. But it wasn't the whole story of female sexuality. There's another sexuality that emerges after menopause, a deeper one, a more intentional one. It's not as reactive, it's more responsive. It doesn't happen to you, you choose it. And that's a profound shift. I remember the first time I realized my sexuality had changed. I was in my early 50s. My husband tried to initiate sex the way he always had, and I just didn't respond. My body didn't jump to attention the way it used to. There was no automatic arousal, no sense of, oh, I want this. And I felt sad. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I was broken. I went to my doctor. She prescribed a cream for dryness. She talked about hormone therapy. She presented it like a problem that needed fixing, but I didn't feel like something was broken. I felt like something was changing. So I started paying attention. Instead of trying to force my sexuality to be what it used to be, I asked, what is my sexuality becoming? And what I discovered surprised me. My sexuality became less about instant gratification and more about real connection. I realized I didn't want sex just because it was being offered. I wanted sex because I actually wanted it. Because I was genuinely interested. That meant sometimes I said no. And that no felt clean. It didn't feel like rejection of my partner. It felt like honesty. And when I said yes, it meant something different. It meant I was choosing. I was present. I was there because I actually wanted to be. And that presence changed everything. Sex became less about performance and more about connection. It became less about doing it the right way and more about what actually felt good in my body. And my body, it turned out, had wants and preferences that I'd never asked it about before. Because I'd been too busy performing sexuality to actually feel it, menopause took that performance away. And what emerged underneath was something more real. I know a woman, Jennifer, who had a completely different experience. Her libido didn't drop, but her body changed in other ways. Vaginal dryness made intercourse uncomfortable. And instead of just accepting pain during sex, instead of just trying to push through, she finally spoke up. She told her partner that she needed things to be different. and her partner listened. They slowed down. They used lubrication. They explored different kinds of touch. And their sex life, far from ending, actually became better. Because for the first time, they were actually communicating about what both of them wanted. They weren't just going through motions. They were actually intimate, and that's the gift that menopause can give if you let it. It can force you to stop performing and start being real. It can force you to speak your needs out loud. It can force you to ask, do I actually want this? Or am I doing this because I'm supposed to? And when you start asking those questions, when you start being honest about what you actually want, your sexuality transforms. Now, there's something else that happens in menopause that affects sexuality. Your body needs things it didn't need before. More foreplay, more lubrication, more time, more direct clitoral stimulation. And the culture tells you that needing these things means something's wrong with you. But it doesn't. It just means you're different. Your body has different needs. And those needs are valid. In fact, honoring those needs is how you access pleasure in a way that might be deeper than anything you've experienced before. Because you're not forcing your body to respond. You're working with it. You're learning what actually turns you on, what actually feels good, what actually brings you pleasure. And that knowledge, that self-awareness, that's power. I think about how many years women spend having sex without actually knowing what they want. We're taught to focus on our partner's pleasure, on performing arousal, on making ourselves available. We're not taught to know our own bodies, to demand what we need, to unapologetically pursue our own pleasure, and then menopause comes. And suddenly you can't perform anymore. Your body won't cooperate with the old script. And that refusal, that's actually a gift because it forces you to write a new script. One where you're the protagonist, one where your pleasure matters, one where what you want is just as important as what your partner wants. That's not selfish. That's mature sexuality. That's sexuality that's rooted in self-knowledge instead of self-abandonment. I know this might sound radical if you've spent decades prioritizing everyone else's needs, but it's the truth. Menopause gives you permission to become selfish about your own pleasure. And that selfishness is actually generosity toward yourself. It's saying, my body matters, my desires matter, what I want matters. Now I also want to acknowledge something real. For some women, menopause and hormonal changes create genuine medical challenges. Vaginal atrophy can be painful. Some women experience a genuine loss of libido that goes beyond just changing preferences. And if that's you, that's valid. And you might need medical support, estrogen therapy, testosterone therapy, vaginal creams, pelvic floor, physical therapy. These are all valid tools. I'm not saying to reject medicine. I'm saying to get clear on what you actually want and then work with a healthcare provider to get there. But for many women, the shift in sexuality is less about a problem that needs fixing and more about a transition that needs understanding. And understanding changes everything. It changes how you talk to your partner about sex. It changes how you touch yourself, how you pay attention to what feels good. It changes whether you see your changing sexuality as loss or as evolution. The fourth truth nobody tells you about menopause is this: your sexuality isn't ending, it's evolving. And that evolution, while it requires adjustment, can actually be more satisfying than what came before, because it's based on choice. on presence, on knowing yourself, not on performing, not on autopilot, not on what you're supposed to want, but on what you actually want. And finding that, claiming that, speaking that, that's the sexuality of a woman who's become fully herself. This is the final truth. And it's the one that ties everything together. Menopause isn't just a biological transition, it's a spiritual initiation. And I don't mean that in some mystical woo-woo way, I mean it literally. An initiation is a passage from one state of being to another. It's a threshold you cross that fundamentally changes who you are. And menopause is that threshold. On one side of it, you're a woman whose body is organized around fertility, whose life is often organized around caregiving, whose identity is often borrowed from other people's needs. On the other side of it, you're a woman who's released from that role, who has the freedom to ask, who am I when I'm not defined by whether I can have children? Who am I when I'm not needed to be everything to everyone? And that question, that initiation, it's powerful. Cultures used to understand this. Indigenous cultures, ancient cultures, they had rituals for menopause. They recognized it as a passage into wisdom. A woman who'd gone through menopause was considered a crone, an elder, someone whose counsel was valued. But our culture, we've erased that. We've turned menopause into a medical problem instead of a spiritual passage. And we've lost something profound in that erasure. We've lost the understanding that menopause is initiating you into power. Let me tell you what I mean. Before menopause, you're still somewhat bound by biology. Your cycle, if you menstruate, organizes your month. Your hormones fluctuate predictably. You're somewhat hostage to your own biology. And that's not a bad thing. Your cycle, your fertility, they're connected to deep creative power. But there's a different kind of power that emerges when you're no longer cycling. When your hormones stabilize at a new baseline, you're not recovering from your period every month. You're not preparing for ovulation. You're not cycling through hormonal states that can affect your mood and energy. You're steady. And that steadiness, that's foundational for a different kind of power. A power that's not reactive, that's not cyclical, that's not dependent on hormonal fluctuation. It's the power of knowing what you want and being able to sustain it over time. It's the power of showing up consistently. It's the power of authority, of knowing your own mind and not wavering. Women who've gone through menopause often describe it this way. They finally know who they are, and they stop apologizing for it. I think about my own menopause as the point where I stopped trying to please everyone and started being honest about what I actually thought. Before menopause, I cared deeply about what people thought of me. I molded myself to fit. I performed competence, warmth, availability. And menopause took that away from me. It made those performances impossible. My body wouldn't cooperate anymore. I didn't have the energy to be all things to all people. And instead of being devastating, it was liberating. Because in releasing the performance, I found myself. And the self I found, she's more powerful than the performed version ever was. Because she's real, she's rooted. She's not constantly adjusting to fit someone else's expectations. She knows what she thinks. She knows what she wants. And she's willing to say it out loud. That's the power menopause initiates you into. I know a woman, Patricia, who's a perfect example of this. Before menopause, she was a people pleaser. She had a job where she was constantly accommodating everyone's needs. At home, she was the emotional manager for her entire family. She was exhausted, but she thought that was just what being a good woman meant. Then menopause hit, and suddenly she couldn't do it anymore. Her body was saying no. Her mind was saying no. Her spirit was saying no. And instead of fighting that, instead of trying to medicate it away, she listened. She set boundaries at work. She told her family she was no longer the keeper of everyone's emotions. She stopped managing everyone's feelings and started managing her own life. And her family didn't fall apart. They adjusted. And honestly, they respected her more. Because there's something about a woman who knows her own boundaries. A woman who doesn't apologize for her needs. A woman who takes up space unapologetically. That woman has power. And menopause is what initiates you into that power. Now here's what's important to understand. This power isn't aggressive. It's not mean. It's not about dominating anyone. It's about knowing yourself so thoroughly that you're unshakable. It's about having spent enough years watching what works and what doesn't, that you have wisdom. It's about having survived enough to know what actually matters and what's just noise. That's the power of a postmenopausal woman. And that power is needed in the world. We need women who know what they think, who aren't afraid to speak it. We need women who've been through enough to have perspective, who can see the long view. We need women who've stepped out of the role of caregiving just enough to be able to care for themselves. Because a woman who cares for herself, she has something to give. But a woman who's been running on empty for 50 years, she has nothing left to give. Menopause is the threshold between those two states. It's the initiation that says, you've earned this, you've paid your dues. Now you get to live for yourself. And that shift, that permission, that's sacred. I want you to understand something. The symptoms of menopause, as difficult as they are actually symptoms of initiation. The night sweats are your body releasing what it no longer needs to hold. The insomnia is your mind trying to process who you're becoming. The hot flashes are your life force reorganizing. The brain fog is your mind clearing space for new thoughts. The mood shifts are your authentic self trying to emerge. None of these are happening to you. They're happening for you. They're the labor of becoming. And yes, labor is uncomfortable. Yes, it's disorienting. Yes, it's sometimes frightening. But on the other side of it is a woman who's more herself than she's ever been. A woman with power, with clarity, with authority over her own life. That's who you're becoming. And that transformation is worth the temporary discomfort. The fifth truth nobody tells you about menopause is this. Menopause is initiating you into power. Not power over anyone else, power over yourself, power to know yourself, power to claim yourself. And that power, once you step into it, changes everything. It changes how you move through the world, how you speak, how you take up space. It changes your relationships, it changes your work, it changes what you're willing to accept and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. It makes you dangerous in the best way. Dangerous to systems that depend on your compliance. Dangerous to people who need you to be smaller than you are, but it makes you safe for yourself. And for people who love the real you. This is the power of menopause, and it's waiting for you on the other side of this transition. If you're still here with me, if you've stayed through all 5 of these truths about menopause, I want to invite you into something. Subscribe to this channel, because what we're doing here isn't just talking about menopause symptoms. We're reframing menopause entirely. We're taking it from being a medical problem to being understood as what it actually is, a transformation. And that reframing changes everything about how you move through it. So stay with us. Bring your real questions, the ones that scare you, the ones you're embarrassed to ask, because you're not alone in this. There are thousands of women over 50 who are in the middle of this transition right now. And we need to talk about it honestly, not through the lens of the pharmaceutical industry, not through the lens of the diet culture, but through the lens of truth, through the lens of a woman who's been through it and came out the other side. So subscribe, be part of this community of women who are claiming their power in menopause instead of resisting it. Now, I want to acknowledge something real. If you're in the thick of menopause right now, if you're having night sweats that wake you up 5 times a night, if you're having hot flashes that are making you want to crawl out of your skin, if your mood is all over the place and you feel like you're losing it, I hear you. I see you. What you're experiencing is real. And these 5 truths, they're not meant to minimize that. They're meant to give you context. Context that helps you understand that you're not broken. You're transforming. And that understanding, while it doesn't necessarily make the symptoms go away, changes how you experience them. It changes whether you're suffering because you think something's wrong with you, or whether you're going through something difficult that has purpose, and purpose changes everything. So hold these 5 truths close. 1, menopause isn't a deficiency, it's a transition. 2, your brain isn't breaking, it's rewiring. 3, your body isn't betraying you, it's communicating. 4, your sexuality isn't ending, it's evolving. 5, menopause is initiating you into power. These are the truths that nobody tells you, but they're the truths that matter. Now, as we move into the final part of this conversation, I want to talk about what comes next, because menopause isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. And that chapter can be the most vibrant, the most alive, the most authentically you that you've ever lived. But it requires something from you. It requires that you stop fighting the transition and start moving through it. It requires that you start asking yourself, what am I becoming? What does this initiation want to teach me? It requires that you get curious about your own transformation instead of terrified by it. And it requires that you understand that the power waiting for you on the other side of menopause is worth the discomfort of getting there. So here's what I want you to do as you finish watching this. Don't just hear these truths, feel them. Let them reorganize how you think about what's happening in your body. And then, when you're ready, start making choices that honor the transition you're in. Start listening to what your body's asking for. Start being honest about what you want. Start claiming the power that's waiting for you, because you deserve that. You deserve to emerge from menopause as a woman who knows herself, who claims herself, who takes up space. That's the promise of menopause, and it's waiting for you. I want to leave you with an image. I was at a coffee shop recently and I saw a woman. She looked to be in her early 60s. She was sitting alone, reading a book, completely absorbed. She wasn't checking her phone. She wasn't performing for anyone. She wasn't trying to be smaller or quieter or less. She was just there, fully there. And there was something about her presence that was magnetic, not because she was trying to be, but because she'd stopped trying to be anything other than what she was. And I thought, that's a post-menopausal woman who's come through the initiation. That's a woman who knows who she is. That's a woman who's claimed her power. And I realized something in that moment. The real gift of menopause isn't that you stop having hot flashes. It's that you finally get to be that woman. The woman who's no longer organizing her life around other people's needs. The woman who's done proving herself. The woman who knows what she thinks and isn't afraid to say it. The woman who's lived enough to have wisdom and authenticity enough to share it. That woman is you. On the other side of this transition, not someday, but emerging right now, even in the middle of the discomfort. Because the discomfort isn't separate from the emergence. The discomfort is the emergence. You're not going to wake up one day and suddenly be this woman. You're becoming her every single day that you choose to listen to your body instead of fight it. Every single day that you ask yourself, who am I becoming? What does this want to teach me? Every single day that you claim something for yourself instead of giving everything away. These how the transformation happens. Not all at once, but gradually, consistently, authentically. And one day you'll be sitting in a coffee shop, fully absorbed in your own life, and you'll realize, I made it through. I didn't just survive menopause, I was initiated by it. I emerged more myself than I've ever been. And that's the truth that changes everything. Not that menopause is easy, it's not. Not that the symptoms don't matter. They do, but that underneath the symptoms is transformation. And transformation is sacred. Your menopausal body is sacred, not despite the changes, because of them. Because those changes are asking you to evolve, to shed what no longer serves, to step into your power. So here's what I want you to do. Subscribe to this channel because we're going deeper into this. We're exploring how to move through menopause with grace, how to use this initiation to become who you're meant to be. We're building a community of women who understand that menopause is powerful, not a problem. Share this with 5 women who need to hear it. A friend who's struggling, a sister who's confused, a colleague who's hiding her menopausal symptoms because she's ashamed. Give her this permission, give her this reframe, tell her you're not broken, you're becoming, and leave a comment. Tell me where you are in your menopausal journey. What surprised you most in this conversation? What truth hit you the hardest? And ask me, what do you want to explore next? Because your voice matters, your experience matters, your transformation matters. You are not alone in this. There are millions of women right now in the middle of menopause, feeling confused and scared, and wondering if they're losing themselves. And they need to know what you're learning, that they're not losing themselves. They're finding themselves. They're being initiated into power, and that power, once claimed, changes everything. So claim it, move through it, trust it, and emerge on the other side as the woman you've always had the potential to be. That woman is waiting for you. She's waiting in the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And she's magnificent. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring enough about your own transformation to listen to this conversation. That care, that commitment to understanding yourself, that's the first step of the initiation. And I'm honored to walk this path with you. I'll see you in the next conversation. Until then, be gentle with yourself. Be curious about your own becoming. And remember, you're not losing your mind in menopause. You